Oh, look at that, the sunrise coming up right in between there. Oh yeah, you can see that. Now I'm blind. Day 4 on the road. It's 7 o'clock in the morning because, well, we're all going to sleep really early and getting up early. So I think we got a couple 100 miles to go. What do we have to go? We don't even really know. 7 hours. 7 hours to go. And I am ready to be somewhere and have my stuff all organized, like, and, you know, like, just being on the road is tough sometimes, so, especially after yesterday. I don't know if I can even handle anymore. You go on a helicopter ride, I'm scared of heights, and, I can't remember the last time I was that, just heart racing, excited, scared to death, like, also not wanting to look like a little girl because all my friends are on, like, you know, everybody's like, yeah, woo! You know, and I'm the race car driver, and scared to death of heights. So we're just like, we're going, and then the bottom drops out, and it's like we go from, and he's on the mic, and he's like, oh yeah, we're at 400 feet right now, and you might want to get your cameras out because we're about to go over, and it's going to go to a 5,000 foot drop. You know, basically 5,000 foot. Is that what you said? Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, like I get, like, you kind of had to move out to Indy to, like, really do your race career, but, like, was it, like, sad?
Oh yeah.
Like, it's sad about it?
I mean, yeah, I miss California. You know, like, I
come out here and you're like, oh, I used to just live out here. Like,
yeah.
Now you're in fucking India.
Yeah. But I don't think I would ever have become a race car driver if I wouldn't have moved from California. You know, like, because California, like, nobody really knows about sprint car racing. You tell people, what do you race? Midgets, you know, they laugh at you. They think it's a go-kart or whatever, you know. Like, that was one of the first things I noticed in Indiana. Like, I'd make a post on Craigslist, you know, trying to sell something, and I'd have people calling me like, hey, is this TmezTv? Like, because I'd put my email on there or whatever, and it'd say TmezTv. You know, and so then it just isn't like that in California. Nobody knows nothing because it's like a melting pot of all these different cultures, and nobody there grew up going to the races for the most part. Such a small percentage. Where, like, in Indiana, it's just part of life there, you know. Like, you know, even if you've never been, even if you've only been to the races once or twice, you know what a sprint car is, you know what a midget is, you know, and they race everywhere, and so it's on the radio, and it's, you know, Indianapolis is where it's at, and so my love for racing and wanting to be a race car driver was just like, okay, I don't think it's going to happen in California. Let's go to Indiana and keep chasing. It was my dad. My dad pushed me. He was just like, listen, you could do this. You just can't give up. And you know, it's one thing I never turned my back on because I really wanted to do it. And I knew I could. You know, like, as a kid, you know, we all have dreams. You know, I grew up with AJ Allmendinger. Stayed at his house like 100 nights a year. I'd stay at his house, and we'd watch IndyCar races, and we'd watch all this stuff, and we just wanted to be race car drivers, you know. And you do what you can, you know, with your parents' money, and my parents didn't have a lot of money. His parents didn't have a lot of money. Ironically enough, both our dads were flooring layers and did work together. Yeah, so moving was kind of essential, I think, and it sucked because, like, man, just all the hills and everything. This is awesome. All the, you know, I'd go to Hollister notes from everything, and I don't have any notes from anything, racing wise and setup wise, and it's pretty much all up in here for me. But the tracks change, tires change, everything kind of changes as the years go on. Hoosier's whole tire debacle, I feel like our tires suck right now. Even in the sprint car, it's like they're not cured long enough to be a good tire, and so then we're having to do different stuff with the cars now. And it's funny, it all kind of like goes in a circle, you know. Like there was a time where Levi Jones was just kicking everybody's ass, and I feel like now the bar package that he ran, or that I think he ran, rumors that he ran or whatever, is kind of coming back because the tires just kind of change, and Hoosier's talking about making a new tire, so hopefully they just make a whole lot of them. That's all I want. I just want to make sure they have enough of them.
I just want tires.
Yeah, just have tires. So your setup and how your driving style goes hand in hand. You know, like for me, when I was racing midgets for my dad, I had this, I'd get out on the racetrack, and before we even went green, I just gas it up going down the straightaway, and if the thing just went straight, oh, I could make that fucking work.
Yeah.
Oh man, but if you gassed it up and it turned left, man, I wasn't very good at that. If you gassed it up and it drove to the fence, I could make that work. I could muscle that shit.
Yeah,
just back it in harder and run the throttle harder off the corner and make that package work. Well, nowadays it's all about sticking the right rear, because if you can go in and get the biggest tire to work, that's ideal. You know, you get the biggest tire to work, and that's going to give you the most grip and side bite and everything. So that's why, you know, my setup doesn't really matter for Justin Grant. You know, he knows enough to know how I like my stuff and to compare when my car was good in the last year or two, because we race enough to each other to know, oh, well, man, he was badass here, you know, and he likes to do this. It's like, I like to use Robert Ballou for when Robert's fast, I feel like it's all right rear weight, and it's so Robert always runs, and I don't know this, you know, like I'm friends with Robert, but we don't ever talk setup. We've never one time talked setup, you know, bar number wise or whatever. But I would imagine he's on 50s and inches, you know, and the way his car is, and for me, I struggle with that, because when you go to just I back the thing in, like at the flag stand, I back the thing in, and that big bar sticks the right rear on entry, and just wants to toss the nose if you're not on the gas. Well, so I back the thing in on the throttle and then roll out of the gas and let the side bite create grip. Okay, well then, with him, he's got that big bar in, he can just go run the thing down in and drive the thing in straight, and the thing's stuck because it's not even trying to slide because it's got that big bar in there. And then in the center of the corner, just mash the gas, and that big bar and that little bar makes the thing turn.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so used to like backing the thing in, and then I drive the thing with the throttle. That's why I like the thing to run straight down the straightaway, because once it's sideways, I can steer the car with the back tires.
Yeah.
You know? Well, when the thing's just got a lot of right weight and it's trying to steer it left, it's just difficult, you know, because it's just backwards of how I drive my car. I have to attack the corner with the throttle to keep the wheels free enough, you know, and where they don't. They kind of like you running in straight on the right front, and then right in the center of the corner, when the thing starts getting tight, they feed it gas, and that turns them around the corner and builds some speed, because you have to get to the gas, and it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain to people, like, that's, you know, for me, and I drive race cars for a living, I'm a professional, but when the thing gets tight, right rear tight in the center, and wants to pick up a push, and it's not turning, and you could hit the brakes, you can do everything you think you need to do to make it turn, and it's not turning, and the only thing you really have left is gas it, and that works, but it just doesn't make sense, you know, like, to me, because that's not my style.
I don't know,
that's where the black magic comes in, is the crew chief really has to know what the driver wants, you know. That's why me and Donnie have worked together so long. He just knows how my brain works and what I need to get out of the car, you know. A lot of times, you know, when Drynan was setting the car up, he
was going based off of like more engineering background. This is how the car should work.
Yes.
This is how the car should be going in and out.
Yes.
Not this is how you want it to go in and out.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of the times, like, my game plan is, if there's a curb, everything I do setup wise is to utilize that cushion, because the track can only build so much grip, but then when you have a surface that is this way and your tire can hit it, and it, like, I mean, it tries to flip over because it gives you grip. So if you can just set it in that curb and rip through it, you can lean on it. So then you get to where, like, I'll run more stagger, which makes the car looser, but when you're in that curb, it keeps the car free enough to, like, rip the lip, you know. And, you know, I don't think Danny just never really looked at the curb and was like, okay, he's gonna go in and he's gonna plow that curb with the right rear and try to, like, launch off of that. We just always seem to struggle with what we were racing on the track, you know. Like, he was setting the car up to race something, and then I wasn't even looking at what his intentions were to do, you know, like, on the track.
Real tight all the time though, like, just spacing wise, he never had you out where you were used to starting at.
Yeah.
And that was a miscommunication of, like, this is where we start.
Yeah.
He didn't know that. But, like, all the stuff about, like, how knowing how to drive, like, that's what I don't have. That's why I can't help Justin as much as he probably needs. Whereas, like, you saying all that, it's like, if somebody could explain to him, like, what he's actually doing driving wise, that would be very helpful. But I don't know how it is to be in a race car like that.
Yeah.
So, like,
it is hard, and I feel like
that's why Donnie was so good. Like, he knows how it is to be in a race car and to fucking drive and try different lines and do all that. That's all the years, but
that's why the good crew chiefs usually have driven race cars, and they do understand. You know, they get it. You know, it's like anything. It's like the fueling on the car. I never really could fuel the car because I just didn't understand how it worked. You know, and then I met Tim Engler, and we go to the dyno, and then he starts explaining, and then once I understood that basically the pump, you know, so on our fuel systems, there's one line that it goes from the pump to the motor, and then from there it turns around and goes back to the tank. Well, then there's two more lines off the pump that go right back to the tank, and I just couldn't really understand it. But that pump is creating so much fuel pressure that it has to dump that fuel pressure off when it starts getting up in the RPMs, because the motor can't take that much fuel. So all you're doing is removing the extra fuel that it's trying to give the thing. And there's a way to tune that, you know. It's the opposite of a jet or a regular carburetor, you know, because you put a smaller jet in because it allows less fuel to mix with the air, and then that'll lean the thing out. Well, with the fuel injection stuff, it's different. With our stuff, you actually go bigger pill, you go a bigger jet, because that'll allow more fuel back to the tank, and because whatever's going into the motor, whatever doesn't go back to the tank, they say, goes into the motor. Oh, this is awesome. I like rocks. I love this drive. I love this
it's like
drive.
when you get over a hill and it just, like, opens up, or like you coming down
someone's up there could fall.
That's what I was thinking.
Right there.
Time. I was lucky to have Donnie.
I miss Donnie.
I do too sometimes. I do too. Every time I see him at a racetrack, I find him. I'm like, hi Donnie, I miss you. I miss learning from you. I miss him talking to me.
He can read what the drivers want, just like the difference between me and Justin. You know, like Donnie seemed to do better with me because we worked so long together, and I feel like sometimes Justin doesn't always explain what he wants because he's so
he needs it to make sense in his book and in his head.
Well, he has so many different, he's just way more in tune than most people ever would be. Like, I struggle to keep up with him, you know, and I feel like I'm pretty fucking switched on, but he just is very knowledgeable, and it's hard to get anybody around that isn't, you know, that is even half as knowledgeable as him, you know. I love those red rocks, which I guess the red rocks are really just rusted old rocks. It's just rust, and it's not cool, but that's one of the hard things that a lot of people, family especially, don't understand is when you're traveling on the road. And like my Thanksgiving, all I've ever done on Thanksgiving is go to turkey night, and so it's just part of my Thanksgiving. But most people, you know, do the Thanksgiving dinner, and I love it when I get to, because I've got to do it maybe 5 times in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And most times at the track, you know, one of them last year, Dave got a fryer, and we deep fried a turkey, or actually Bob and Pam did. But Dave makes everything possible over here at RMS Racing.
Yeah, that made Thanksgiving last year, like, not so sad for me.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, you know what, at least I get the dinner, and at least it's like with people I do care about, like, the racing people I care about.
That's crazy. That's the other thing, you know, like all these, I've spent more time on the road with Dave Eastep and Bill and, you know, everybody, you and Joe, and then it just, like, you guys are my family, you know, like, this is my family, because I don't even talk to my family anymore. I should, I just don't have time, or, you know, my ADD is just off the chains with my kids, because every minute and a half they're asking for something, or needing something, or distracting me, or so.
Yeah, that's why it's a big, like, it's a big deal for when Joe's out here, because Joe's my guy.
Yeah.
Joe's like my guy back at the shop and back home, and then on the road too. It's like one of the only people in my life that, like, I never had to ask him to help me. He just does it.
Yeah.
Because he cares. That happened over a few years, but
Yeah, but that's what it is now.
even some of my family's not even that gracious towards me, you know, like, there's a lot of things that I would call Joe and Ted before I call anybody in my family.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, Joe's on my speed dial, so is Dave.
Even Dave, yeah. Or one time I wanted to stay out in Indy, and Dave's like, I'll come get you tomorrow. Or I'll get you a hotel room out here. Did you want to stay out here? I was like, you don't gotta do all that. Like, but there's the thought behind it.
Yeah. Oh, Florida last year, we ran the midget, and then I didn't know where I was going to stay, and I didn't have the money because it was the off season, and I wasn't making any money. And luckily, you know, I was like, Dave, can you give me hotel rooms for the week while I'm racing sprint cars? And next thing you know, we're at Daytona Beach, literally staying on the beach, had a room facing the ocean, watched the sunrise, you know, over the East Coast.
I only stayed because of Dave asked me to. He was like, you want to stay out here? I was like, I mean, I can't pay for it. I can't afford to do that, but, like, I will. Like, if you're going to stay out here, I'll stay out here with you.
Yeah.
And we ended up doing all that shit.
Florida was fun.
That was a fun week.
Well, I think that is
is a wrap for the bench racing video. Here is the pass for the lead the very next day at Bakersfield Speedway. Thanks so much for watching TmezTv. We are racing to coin this weekend, so indoor season coming at you Monday. And I still got a lot of stuff going on, but it's Christmas season.